The envelope sat between the breadbasket and my water glass. Cream paper. My mother's handwriting on the front in careful blue ink. For your own good. My father straightened his tie like he was about to give a speech. My sister angled her phone toward my face. Screen dark, camera pointed straight at me. $47,000. That's how much I had sent them in 3 years. And this was my thank you note. They expected tears. They expected begging. They expected the Ivy who always said okay and drove home crying. But that Ivy didn't exist anymore. That Ivy had a 6-year-old daughter now. And 10 minutes earlier, in the parking lot, my mother had whispered the one thing she should never have said. I'll tell you what she whispered, but first, you need to understand how we got to table 7 at the Magnolia on a Saturday night, with candles burning and my family ready to erase me. My name is Ivy Thornton. I'm 32 years old, and this is what happens when the quiet stops being quiet. Crestwood, Georgia, is the kind of town where people wave even if they don't like you. Population just big enough to have a Starbucks, small enough that if you get pulled over, your aunt hears about it before you do. I've lived here my whole life. Same grocery store, same Baptist church, same gossip that moves faster than Wi-Fi. I work at Paw Print Veterinary Clinic on Miller Road. I'm a vet tech. That means I hold your terrified golden retriever while the vet gives shots. I clean kennels, I trim nails. I've stayed past midnight with families saying goodbye to dogs they loved more than most people. When I get home, I smell like antiseptic and Labrador. My daughter Lily says I smell like love. That's the only review that matters. Lily is 6. Curly brown hair, big eyes, permanent questions. Why do dogs pant? Why does the moon follow the car? Why don't we eat at fancy restaurants like Madison's family? That last one usually gets a wee distraction. We make better mac and cheese at home, which is true, but it's also cheaper. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment above the hardware store on Elm. The carpet is older than I am. The faucet drips if you don't turn it exactly right, but it's ours, and it's stable. Stability is something I built on purpose because I didn't grow up with it. In my family, there were 2 daughters and 1 spotlight. The spotlight was never pointed at me. My younger sister Brooke is 4 years younger, blonde, loud, effortlessly confident, the kind of girl who walked into a room already smiling like she knew it would smile back. Growing up, we had what I privately called the brag wall in the living room. Framed ribbons, framed photos, framed certificates, all Brooke, cheerleading squad picture, science fair ribbon, prom photo, her community college acceptance letter framed like she'd cured cancer. My honor roll certificate was taped to the fridge once. It was gone by Thursday. My father, Gerald Thornton, 61 now, broad shoulders, and a voice that always sounded like a judge issuing a sentence, had a way of introducing us. This is Brooke, my youngest. Pause. Smile. An Ivy. No adjective. No detail. Just an Ivy. Like I was the period at the end of someone else's sentence. My mother, Donna, wasn't loud about favoritism. She was strategic. Ivy, set the table. Ivy, pick Brooke up from practice. Ivy, stay home this weekend. Your father needs help. I was the utility daughter. Brooke was the trophy. I told myself silence was strength. If I worked hard enough, if I helped enough, if I didn't complain, eventually they'd look at me the way they looked at her. That was the first lie I ever told myself. 3 years ago, my father got laid off. Breton Logistics, 19 years, 1 cardboard box, 2 weeks severance. He didn't tell anyone. Not his friends, not the neighbors, not the church. He told my mother it was early retirement. She repeated it like it was fact. The call came at 11:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember the time because Lily had just fallen asleep with her arm thrown across my chest. Ivy, my mom said, voice thin and cracking. We're behind on the electric bill. How much? I asked. $1,300 would fix it. Just this month. Just this once. It was never just once. The first payment felt temporary. The second felt responsible. By the 6th, it felt like gravity. Every first of the month, my Venmo pinged. $1,300 to Gerald Thornton. 36 months. 36 green arrows pointing away from my account. $46,800. Almost $47,000. I skipped buying new clothes. I worked extra shifts. I told Lily no to dance classes because we'll try next year. Meanwhile, Brooke lived in their guest room rent-free. She posted Instagram photos of grocery bags on the counter. Caption, 3 years of making sure my parents never worry. Family first. Hundreds of likes. My mom commented, I'm so blessed to have you. You're my rock. I screenshotted that post at 12:37 a.m. Not because I had a plan, because I needed proof that the hurt was real. Then, Brooke met Marcus Webb. The Webbs own half of downtown Crestwood. Commercial buildings, accounting firm, money that looks clean and permanent. Marcus was polite, CPA, the kind of guy who remembers your coffee order. When he started dating Brooke, my parents' posture changed. New blazer for dad, hair appointments every 6 weeks for mom, organic groceries from the expensive store, paid for by my Venmo transfers. Then came the call. There's a dinner, my mom said. At the Magnolia, the Webbs want to see us united. United, that word again. I had a feeling, a pressure in my chest like before a storm. Jaime, my best friend since high school, said, don't go. But this is Crestwood. If I didn't show, I'd be the villain before Brooke's wedding. And that reputation would follow. Lily. So I said yes. The afternoon of the dinner, I was packing Lily's overnight bag for Jaime's house. Pajamas, toothbrush, Mr. Bunny, the stuffed rabbit held together with dental floss and love. While Lily debated between glitter shoes and sneakers, I opened Venmo. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. I scrolled back 3 years, added every payment, $46,800. I stared at that number. That was a used car. That was a year of college tuition. That was dance classes. That was security. Instead, it was my parents' lights staying on while they told the world Brooke paid the bill. I opened Instagram. There it was. The post from 2 days ago, Brooke hugging my mom, grocery bags on the counter, 3 years of making sure my parents never worry, 847 likes. Heart emoji from Marcus. I printed it. Then I printed the Venmo history. Then I printed screenshots of my mom's late night texts. You're the only one I can count on. Don't tell Brooke. I slid all of it into a manila envelope. Just in case. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning survival. Because here's the part I haven't told you yet. The real reason I knew something was wrong. 10 minutes before we walked into the Magnolia, my mom pulled me aside in the parking lot. The air smelled like cut grass and car exhaust. She grabbed my wrist, harder than necessary. Ivy, she said quietly, don't make a scene tonight. I wasn't planning to. She leaned closer, perfume thick. If you care about Lily, you'll sign what we put in front of you. My stomach dropped. Sign what? She smiled. You'll see. Then she whispered the sentence that changed everything. If you don't cooperate, I'll call Tyler's mother and tell her you're unfit. Tyler is my ex-husband. His mother has wanted custody of Lily since the day she was born. That's what my mom whispered. Use my daughter as leverage. In that moment, something inside me went very still. Not angry, not explosive, just still. The old Ivy would have folded, but the old Ivy didn't have a 6-year-old watching her. Now we're back at table 7, candlelight, breadbasket, white envelope. For your own good. My father slid it toward me. Just sign it, sweetheart. Sweetheart. He hadn't called me that in years. Brooke's phone angled toward my face, recording. Marcus, watching. My mother's pearls catching the candlelight. And me, looking at the envelope, knowing exactly what I had in my bag, and knowing exactly what they thought I would do. I picked up their envelope, opened it, read the first line. Then I slowly reached into my purse and pulled out mine. I set it on the table beside theirs. You brought yours, I said calmly. I brought mine. And that's when everything changed. The candle between us flickered. Nobody moved. My envelope sat beside theirs, same size, very different weight. My father stared at it like it might explode. What is that? He asked. His voice wasn't strong anymore. It had a thin edge to it. I peeled the flap open slowly, not dramatic, not rushed, the way I open medical supply boxes at the clinic. Careful, controlled. You brought a letter, I said. I brought documentation. Brooke shifted in her chair. Her phone was still pointed at me. Red recording dot glowing. Good. Let it record. I pulled out the first page. Venmo history. 36 payments. Each one dated. Each one $1,300. Total at the bottom, circled in red. $46,800. I placed it flat on the table between the breadbasket and the candle. Marcus leaned forward. He didn't say anything. He just read, line by line, date by date. My father's jaw tightened. Donna's fingers curled around her napkin. "That's private," she said quickly. "Is it?" I asked calmly. "Because Brooke made it public." I pulled out the second page. Screenshots of text messages. Timestamps visible: 1:14 a.m., 11:47 p.m., 2:08 a.m. Ivy, please. The mortgage company. Called. "You're the only one I can count on. Don't tell Brooke. She'll worry." I slid that page beside the Venmo history. Donna's face drained of color. "I was scared," she whispered. "Yes," I said. "So was I." Brooke laughed, short, sharp. "This is ridiculous. You act like you're the only one who helped." Marcus turned his head slowly toward her. "How much did you send?" he asked. Silence. "How much?" he repeated. Brooke's eyes flicked to my father, then to my mother, then back to Marcus. "I helped in other ways," she said. "That wasn't my question." The restaurant felt quieter, not silent, but aware. Forks slowed, voices softened. Crestwood doesn't miss live theater. I pulled out the third page. Color printout, Brooke and Mom hugging in the kitchen, grocery bags arranged perfectly, caption in big white letters, 3 years of making sure my parents never worry. Family first. I set it beside the bank records. "This," I said, pointing to the Instagram post, "is what she told everyone." Then I tapped the Venmo sheet. "This is what actually happened." Marcus stared at both pages, then at Brooke. "Is this real?" he asked quietly. She swallowed. "She's exaggerating." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The numbers weren't emotional. They were math. My father cleared his throat, that old signal of authority. "Ivy," he said, "this is not appropriate." "Threatening my custody isn't appropriate either," I replied. Marcus's head snapped toward him. "What?" he said. My mother jumped in. "That's not what we meant." "You told me to sign a letter or you'd call Tyler's mother and say I'm unfit," I said calmly. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't shake. Didn't cry. Brooke's phone was still recording. Good. Let it capture this part. Marcus looked at Brooke again. "You told me Ivy was unstable," he said. "She is," Brooke snapped. "She's always been dramatic." I folded my hands in front of me. "Marcus," I said, "I have not raised my voice once tonight." He nodded slowly. He noticed. Accountants notice details, patterns, inconsistencies. He looked at my father. "Did you know she was paying your bills?" Gerald hesitated. That was the mistake. If he had answered quickly, confidently, maybe this would have gone differently. Instead, he hesitated. "Yes," he said finally. "And you let Brooke take credit publicly?" My father's eyes hardened. "We didn't ask Ivy to print anything." "That's not what I asked," Marcus said. The shift in power at the table was almost physical. My parents had walked in expecting to control the narrative. Now they were answering questions. Brooke leaned forward, desperate. "Marcus, she's trying to ruin us because she's jealous." Jealous, that old word. The family favorite. "Jealous of what?" I asked quietly. Brooke's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Marcus leaned, back in his chair. He looked at the pages again, then at my mother. "You said Brooke was your rock," he said. Donna blinked. "Well, she is." "Then why is Ivy's name on every payment?" Donna's mascara had started to smudge. For once, it didn't look planned. "It was temporary," she said weakly. 3 years? Marcus asked. No answer. The candle flickered again. Brooke grabbed her phone. "This is insane," she said. "I'm not sitting here while she plays victim." She stood up, chair scraping loudly. The entire restaurant glanced over. Marcus didn't move. He stayed seated, watching, thinking. He finally looked at me. "Did you ever ask for recognition?" he asked. "No." "Did you ever tell anyone?" "No." "Why?" I hesitated, then answered honestly. "Because I thought if I kept helping, they'd eventually see me." That hit harder than anything else I'd said. Because it wasn't defensive, it was vulnerable. Marcus looked back at Brooke. She looked smaller somehow, less polished, less certain. He stood up slowly, not dramatic, just done. I need air, he said. Brooke followed immediately. Marcus, wait. He walked toward the exit. She hurried after him. Her heels clicked against the tile, her phone still in her hand, still recording. My parents and I were left at table 7. The disownment letter lay open. My receipts lay beside it, side by side. Their attempt to erase me and the proof they couldn't. My father finally spoke. You had no right to embarrass this family. I met his eyes. For 3 years, I protected this family. He flinched. Protecting us doesn't mean exposing us. Threatening my child isn't protection, I said. Donna started crying. Real crying now. You've ruined Brooke's future. No, I said softly. She did. I stood up, collected my papers, slid them back into the envelope. I'm not signing your letter. My father's voice rose. Then don't expect to be welcome. I paused, looked at him. At what? I asked gently. Family dinners where I'm erased. He didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. I picked up my purse, slid the strap over my shoulder. For the record, I said calmly, I'm done sending money. Donna gasped. You wouldn't. I already did. Their faces shifted at the same time. Shock. Real shock. That was the part they hadn't calculated. They thought the letter was leverage. The real leverage had always been my silence. And it was gone. I walked toward the door, past the hostess stand, past the piano player. The night air hit my face. Warm Georgia humidity. Crickets in the distance. I made it to my car, closed the door. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt lighter. Not victorious, not happy, just lighter. I checked my phone. No calls yet, no texts. But I knew something had shifted inside that restaurant. Something bigger than embarrassment. Bigger than Brooke's engagement. I started the engine, and that's when my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. 1 sentence. Is there anything else I should know? I stared at the screen. Because there was something else. Something I hadn't told anyone, not even Jaime, not even myself. And if I sent it, Brooke's engagement wouldn't just crack. It would shatter. I stared at Marcus's text for a full 30 seconds. Is there anything else I should know? The parking lot lights hummed overhead. My engine was running. My hands were steady on the steering wheel. This was the moment. I could say no. Drive home. Let the engagement wobble, but maybe survive. Or I could tell the truth. The whole truth. And whatever happened after that wouldn't be on me. It would be on the facts. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Finally, I sent 3 words. Yes, there is. The typing bubble appeared almost immediately, then stopped, then started again. Can we talk? I looked back at the magnolia. Through the window, I could see silhouettes moving. Brooke pacing, my parents still seated. I wasn't going back in. No, I typed. I'll send it. There are moments in life where you decide whether you're done being quiet. This was mine. I opened my photos, scrolled back. 6 months ago. The backyard barbecue at my parents' house. The day I met Marcus. He was grilling burgers. Brooke was inside taking selfies. My mom had pulled me into the kitchen. Ivy, she'd said sharply, don't mention money tonight. I wasn't going to. Good. Marcus's family thinks we're comfortable. Let's keep it that way. I'd laughed then, thought it was harmless pride. But later that night, after most guests had left, I'd gone inside to grab Lily's jacket. And I heard Brooke's voice through the half-open study door. She sends it automatically, Brooke was saying. She thinks she's saving them. It's almost sad. Marcus had responded, confused. Saving them from what? From Dad's pride, Brooke had said lightly. It's easier to let her believe she's needed. There had been laughter, not cruel, but dismissive. I'd stood there frozen, then walked away. I never confronted them, never told anyone. I told myself it didn't matter. Tonight, it mattered. I found the voice memo. Yes, I had recorded it, not intentionally. I had been recording Lily dancing in the living room earlier that evening. The recording kept running when I walked into the hallway. I discovered it by accident weeks later. Their conversation was faint but clear enough. I never deleted it. I didn't know why. Now I did. I attached the audio file. My thumb hovered over send. Once this left my phone, there was no undo. I pressed send. 3 dots, typing, stopped, typing again, then nothing. 5 minutes passed, then 10. My phone rang. Marcus. I answered. I listened to it, he said. His voice was flat, measured. What else? He asked. That's it, I said. That's all I've ever had. Silence on the line. I asked her about it just now, he said finally. And? She said you're manipulating old audio, that it's taken out of context. I almost laughed. It's not edited. I know. His voice shifted slightly. I know. The restaurant door opened. Brooke stormed out. She didn't see my car at first. She was yelling. Marcus stepped out behind her. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't chasing. He was just done. Brooke finally spotted my car. Her face twisted. She marched toward me. Marcus didn't stop her. He didn't follow either. He stood under the yellow parking lot light, watching. Brooke yanked my door open before I could lock it. You sent him something, she hissed. Yes. You're unbelievable. No, I said calmly. I'm finished. You just destroyed my engagement. No, I repeated. You built it on a lie. She looked different up close. Mascara slightly smudged. Lipstick uneven, less polished, more human. For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then she said it. You always ruin things when they're not about you. And that old sentence hit me in the chest, because that's what they'd always believed, that I was background noise, not a person. You threatened my child, I said quietly. Her expression flickered. That was Mom. You stood there. She didn't deny it. Marcus walked closer. Brooke, he said evenly, go home. She stared at him. What? Go home. That was it. Not dramatic, not loud, just final. She looked between us, realizing something had shifted permanently. You're choosing her? She asked. I'm choosing honesty, he replied. She stepped back, like she'd been physically pushed. Then she turned and walked toward her car, fast, almost running. Marcus stood beside my open door. He didn't look at me right away. He looked at the sky, then at the restaurant, then, finally, at me. I don't like being lied to, he said simply. I didn't lie. I know. He paused. I need time. That's fair. Another silence. Then he added something unexpected. Your daughter's lucky. My throat tightened. Why? Because you didn't stay quiet tonight. He stepped back, closed my car door gently, and walked to his own car. No promises, no dramatic speeches, just reality. I drove to Jaime's house. Lily ran into my arms, smelled like strawberry shampoo. Did you win? She asked randomly. I smiled. I didn't lose. She seemed satisfied with that. Jaime handed me a glass of water. That bad? She asked. That clear, I replied. The next morning, Crestwood was already buzzing. Small towns don't need press releases. Mrs. Patterson had been at table 5. That was enough. By Monday afternoon, the story had mutated into 10 versions. By Tuesday, Brooke had, I deactivated Instagram. By Wednesday, Marcus hadn't posted anything. By Friday, the engagement ring was back in its box. No announcement, just silence. That kind of silence says more than any caption. 2 weeks later, my dad called. I almost didn't answer. Ivy, he said. No anger, no authority, just tired. The electric company posted a shut-off notice. I leaned against my kitchen counter. Okay. Can you? No. Silence. You'd really let the lights go out? He asked. You really threatened my daughter, I replied. Another silence, longer this time. I didn't think you'd call my bluff, he said quietly. That's the problem, I answered. He exhaled. You were always the strong one. That's not an apology. I know. We hung up without resolution, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. 3 months passed. The $1,300 stayed in my account. I opened a savings account for Lily. The first deposit was small, but it existed. Friday ice cream became tradition. 1 scoop, strawberry, luxury. Marcus never texted again, not because he was angry, because that chapter closed. Some relationships aren't meant to pivot. They're meant to reveal. Brooke moved back fully into my parents' house. No ring, no wedding, no curated photos, just reality. Crestwood adjusted. It always does. But something else adjusted too. Me. I stopped waiting for recognition, stopped waiting for apology, stopped waiting to be chosen, because I chose myself. And more importantly, I chose Lily. Now, let me ask you something. If you were sitting at table 7 and your family handed you that envelope, would you have signed it? Or would you have brought receipts? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop protecting people who would never protect you. If you're ready, there's one more piece to this story. One conversation that happened 6 months later. A knock at my apartment door. Unexpected, uncomfortable, and not from who you think. 6 months later, on a Thursday night, someone knocked on my apartment door. It was 8:42 p.m. Lily was already in pajamas, sitting cross-legged on the living room rug, coloring a picture of a unicorn with blue wings. I wasn't expecting anyone. Jaime usually texts before coming over. The landlord knocks like he's mad at the door. This knock was slow, measured, 3 even taps. I froze for half a second. When you've had your family threaten custody, you don't ignore unexpected knocks. I walked to the door quietly, looked through the peephole, and my stomach flipped. It wasn't my parents. It wasn't Brooke. It wasn't Marcus. It was Tyler's mother, Mrs. Pratt. Perfect posture, pressed cardigan, mouth set in a thin line like she just tasted something sour. Lily looked up at me. "Who is it?" I swallowed. "Grandma Pratt." Her face lit up because Lily doesn't understand adult politics. She understands cookies and Christmas gifts. I opened the door halfway. "Good evening, Ivy," Mrs. Pratt said. Her voice was polite, too polite. "Can I help you?" I asked. She glanced past me into the apartment, taking inventory, small couch, modest coffee table, stack of vet textbooks near the corner. "May I come in?" I hesitated. Every instinct said no. But saying no in a small town creates its own narrative. 5 minutes, I said. She stepped inside. Her heels clicked against the hardwood. She smelled like expensive soap and control. Lily ran up and hugged her. Mrs. Pratt stiffened for half a second before patting her head. "Hello, sweetheart." Then she looked at me. "We need to talk." I gestured to the small kitchen table. She sat down without removing her purse from her lap, guarded, prepared. I stayed standing. "What's this about?" I asked. She didn't waste time. "Your mother contacted me." My heart slowed instead of racing. Interesting. "What did she say?" "That you are unstable." I waited. "That you had a public breakdown at a restaurant." I almost smiled. "That you're financially irresponsible." That one nearly made me laugh out loud. "She said you were cut off from the family because of behavior." Mrs. Pratt watched my face closely. She expected panic, defensiveness. Instead, I walked to the counter, opened a drawer, pulled out a folder. Yes, I had one too. I set it on the table in front of her. "What's that?" she asked. "Documentation." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. I opened the folder. Top page, Venmo history, 36 payments, $46,800 circled. Next page, screenshots of Donna's late night texts. Next page, a copy of the letter they tried to make me sign. Mrs. Pratt leaned forward slowly. She adjusted her glasses, read, line by line. Her lips pressed thinner with each page. "Your mother threatened custody?" she asked. "Yes." "Specifically?" "Yes." "Did she put that in writing?" "No." "Do you have proof?" I hesitated. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the audio file, pressed play, faint but clear. Donna's voice. "If you don't cooperate, I'll call Tyler's mother and tell her you're unfit." The room went very still. Even Lily had paused her coloring. Mrs. Pratt listened without interrupting. When it ended, she set her glasses down carefully. "I see," she said. 2 words, but they carried weight. "You came here prepared," she added. "I learned to be." She studied me, not with judgment this time, with reassessment. "I believed her," she admitted. "I figured you'd finally spiraled." "I haven't." "I can see that." She leaned back in her chair. "And the $46,800? Mine." "Every month?" "Yes." "For 3 years?" "Yes." She was quiet. Then something shifted in her expression. Not warmth, not approval, but respect. "You should have told Tyler," she said. "Why?" "Because silence lets other people control the story. That one landed. She wasn't wrong. I won't be pursuing anything, she said finally. Relief didn't flood me. It settled slowly, like a heavy coat sliding off my shoulders. And, she added, I suggest you reconsider who has access to your daughter. Meaning my parents. I already have, I said. She stood, smoothed her cardigan, then unexpectedly she looked toward Lily. Sweetheart, would you like to come over Saturday and bake cookies? Lily beamed. Yes. Mrs. Pratt looked back at me. Just cookies, she said firmly. Not strategy. I almost smiled. Understood. She walked toward the door. Paused, turned slightly. For what it's worth, she said, I raised Tyler to recognize strength. Then she left. I closed the door, locked it, leaned my forehead against the wood, and exhaled. Lily tugged on my shirt. Are we in trouble? No, baby. Did you win? I knelt down, held her face. In my hands. This isn't about winning, I said softly. It's about being honest. She considered that, then nodded like it made perfect sense. Kids are incredible like that. 2 days later, my father showed up. Not a knock this time, a hesitant tap. I opened the door. Gerald looked smaller somehow, not physically, just deflated. Can I come in? He asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He entered slowly, took in the apartment, the small couch, the neatly folded laundry, the savings account paperwork still on the counter. He noticed everything. You look okay, he said. I am. He sat at the table, didn't remove his jacket, didn't settle in. I didn't know she'd call Mrs. Pratt, he said. I did. He winced. I didn't stop her. No. Silence. I thought you'd cave, he admitted. There it is, I said quietly. He nodded. I thought you'd protect us. I did, I replied. For 3 years. Another silence. Longer this time. Then my father did something he had never done in 32 years. He said it plainly. I'm sorry. No qualifiers, no excuses, no but, just sorry. The word hung in the air, fragile, honest. My chest tightened, because this was the apology I'd waited for my whole life. You should have said that 6 months ago, I said. I know. I needed you to protect me. He nodded slowly. I see that now. I believed him. That was the surprising part. I actually believed him, but belief doesn't erase history. What happens now? He asked. Now, I said carefully, we rebuild differently. He looked confused. No money. Understood. No lies. He nodded. No using Lily as leverage. Ever. His jaw tightened. Never again. And Brooke? He exhaled. Brooke's angry. That's not new. A tiny smile flickered across his face, gone just as quickly. She blames you. I know. But I don't. That sentence mattered more than the apology. He stood up, walked toward the door, paused. You were always the strong one, he said again. This time, it didn't sound like deflection. It sounded like acknowledgement. After he left, I sat at the table for a long time, thinking. Because here's the part nobody talks about. When the villain apologizes. When the story doesn't end with dramatic exile. When people try to change. It's messy. Forgiveness isn't automatic. Trust doesn't regrow overnight. But something had shifted. Not just in them, in me. I wasn't waiting to be chosen anymore. I was deciding who stayed, and under what conditions. 3 weeks later, something happened I never expected. Brooke knocked, not furious, not dramatic, quiet, alone, no makeup, no phone, no performance. And when I opened the door, she was crying, not Instagram crying, real crying. And what she said next, I didn't see coming. When I opened the door, Brooke didn't look like the version of herself I'd known my whole life. No styled hair, no lipstick, no phone in her hand, just red eyes and a sweatshirt that looked like she'd slept in it. For a second, we just stared at each other. I didn't step aside. Not yet. What do you want? I asked. Her voice cracked when she answered. I messed up. That was new. Brooke doesn't mess up. Other people misunderstand. Other people exaggerate. Other people are jealous. But Brooke is curated, controlled, perfect. I stepped back slowly. 5 minutes, I said. She walked in, looked around the apartment like she was seeing it for the first time, not judging, just Seeing. Lily was at the kitchen table drawing again. She looked up. Aunt Brooke. Brooke forced a small smile. Hey, Peanut. Lily waved, then went back to coloring. Because for kids, adults come and go like weather. Brooke sat down at the table, didn't touch anything, didn't perform. I lost everything, she said, quietly. That's not true, I replied. You still have Mom and Dad. She let out a humorless laugh. You think that's enough? There was no bite in it, just exhaustion. I leaned against the counter. What do you want from me? She looked up at me finally. Why didn't you ever tell me? The question surprised me. Tell you what? That you were sending them money. I almost laughed. They asked me not to. She swallowed. And you just did it? Yes. For 3 years? Yes. She blinked rapidly. I would have helped. No, I said gently. You wouldn't have. She flinched. Not because it was cruel, because it was true. She stared at her hands. I thought I was the favorite, she whispered. You were. She looked up sharply. Were? I hesitated, then answered honestly. You were the visible one. There's a difference. She didn't respond right away. Then she said something that caught me off guard. I always thought you didn't care. About what? About any of it. The praise, the attention, Mom bragging about me. I let out a slow breath. I cared, I said. I just stopped competing. Silence. Heavy. Brooke wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. I didn't know they were struggling that bad, she admitted. They told me everything. They didn't tell me anything. That wasn't an accident. She nodded slowly. I guess I liked not knowing. That was honest, painfully honest. You liked being the hero, I said. Yes. Another pause. Then she whispered the thing I never expected to hear. I'm sorry. Not dramatic, not loud, not defensive, just sorry. For a moment, I didn't know what to do with that, because apologies from Brooke didn't exist in my childhood vocabulary. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she said. The letter. The threats. The restaurant. I thought you'd sign. I know. She let out a shaky breath. I thought you'd protect us like you always do. There it was again. That word. Protect. I walked to the table and sat across from her. I protected you for 3 years, I said quietly. I know. I protected Dad's pride. I know. I protected Mom's image. I know. And when I stopped, everything fell apart. She nodded. That's not your fault? It feels like it. It's not. We sat in silence for a long time. Then she looked at Lily. She's happy, Brooke said softly. Yes. You're a good mom. I blinked, because that one hit harder than the apology. Thank you, I said. She stood up, walked toward the door. Paused. Marcus won't answer my calls, she said. I'm sorry. I don't think I am, she admitted. I think I'm sorry I lied. That was growth. Small, but real. Before she left, she turned back. I don't want to be your enemy, she said. You don't have to be. But I don't know how to be your sister either. I gave her the only honest answer I had. Start by being honest. She nodded once. Then she left. That night, after Lily fell asleep, I sat on the couch in the quiet. And I thought about something no one warns you about. When you finally stand up, it changes the entire ecosystem, not just your life, everyone's. My parents weren't villains in a movie. They were flawed, proud, scared. And Brooke wasn't evil. She was conditioned, rewarded for performance, shielded from consequences, until she wasn't. And me? I wasn't the quiet one anymore. I was the boundary. 6 months after table 7, something else changed. My dad got a part-time job at Clyde's Diner, mornings only. My mom picked up extra shifts at the flower shop. They downsized their house, moved into a smaller place on Maple Street. Brooke got a job, real one, reception at a dental office. No filters, no curated captions, just work. We don't have Sunday dinners, not yet. But sometimes Dad drops by with fresh tomatoes from a roadside stand. Sometimes Mom texts pictures of Lily she keeps on her fridge. Sometimes Brooke sends memes that aren't defensive. It's not perfect. It's not healed. but it's honest. And that's new. Now, let me say something directly to you. If you're the Ivy in your family, the quiet one, the dependable one, the one who sends money, who keeps secrets, who smooths things over, you are not required to burn yourself down to keep other people warm. Boundaries don't destroy families. Secrets do. Silence does. Image does. The night at the Magnolia wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. It was about a mother who realized protecting her child mattered more than protecting her parents' pride. Lily asked me last week, "Mommy, are we rich?" I smiled. "In what way?" She thought about it. "Like, in love?" I pulled her into my arms. "Yes," I said. "In that way, we're very rich." And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. If this story meant something to you, tell me in the comments. Would you have signed the letter, or would you have brought the receipts? And if you've ever had your own table 7 moment, the night you stopped being quiet, I'd love to hear it. I read every comment, and I promise you, you're not alone. I'll see you in the next story.